So hello everyone, today we will study lesson 1, solid state. Lesson 1, solid state. Here we will study the objectives of this lesson. The objectives of this lesson which we will read or we are going to read in this chapter, it's all about first intro. Then you will read about general characteristics or traits of solid state. Then we will read about crystal lattice or space lattice. Crystal lattice or space lattice. Then we are gonna read about unit cell. Then you will read about calculation of number of atoms in unit cell. Then we will come across closed packed structures. Closed packed structure. Then we will read about calculation of packaging efficiency. Calculation of packaging efficiency. Then close packing in ionic compounds. Close packing in ionic compounds. Then you will read about calculation for unit cell dimensions. Then you will read about imperfections or defects in solid state or solids. Then all its applications. And the last one is formulae chat. Then we'll see a quick recap. So these all are the objectives of this lesson. Introduction, general traits of solid state or general characteristics of solid state, crystal lattice or space lattice, unit cell, calculation of number of atoms in unit cell. Then you will read about closed packed structures, calculation of packaging efficiency, then close packing in ionic compounds, then calculation of unit cell dimensions, imperfections or defects in solids, application, and the last one is formulae chat. In this video, we will study about introduction, general traits of solid state, and crystal lattice or space lattice. Today in this video, we will read about these three things. So let's start. As you know from this chapter, solid state. Solid state, we will read about solid. What is it? Anything. Any solid thing means something whose molecules or atoms or constituent particles are tightly packed in its structure. Means it's like this. First we'll imagine its structure, its constituent particles arranged in its structure. In this way, the molecules or atoms are tightly packed within itself, and infinitely it goes on. So this is in a solid structure. This is the closely packed structure of solid. Here, as you can see, is there any space? We hardly find any space. these spaces are too negligible. These are too small. So from this structure we can conclude that intermolecular force is high. Force is high, but space is least. Space is least. But in the structure of liquids, it's just like particles can move. It's like this. And gas even more intermolecular space. So this is, in this way it's divided, the structures. So from this structure of solid you can guess that intermolecular force is high, it's too high, but intermolecular space is too less. It is too less because we hardly find any space between. So if space is too less, so how will the compressibility factor depend on this solid state? How will it be? Semi, lowest compressibility. Lowest compressibility, as there is hardly any space between these molecules, so you can hardly compress them. It will be very difficult to because they itself will get compressed. So compressibility is very low. Or lowest compressibility. But highest density or rho. Highest density, lowest compressibility, intermolecular force is high and intermolecular space is least. Here you can find its definite shape, size and volume. It has its definite shape, a regular type structure. Its size, almost all are equal. Definite volume. So another trait, definite space, size and volume. Then how much factors it became? Intermolecular force is too high, space is too less, lowest compressibility, highest density, definite size, shape and volume. Then do you know the intermolecular force is high, means strong intermolecular force, and least intermolecular space. And because of these two factors, they do not have translatory motion. They do not have translatory motion but have vibrational motion. The molecules vibrate among themselves. They do not have any translatory motion but has translatory motion is not present. Translatory motion is not present, but vibrational motion, this is present. About their mean position. So this explains rigidity property. Rigidity property of solids. That they do not have translatory motion because of its strong intermolecular force and least intermolecular space, but possesses vibrational motion about their mean position. So they have the rigidity property. Solids have the rigidity property. So solids are rigid. And diffusion in solids is negligible. Diffusion in solids is negligible. So diffusion in solids is negligible. Then solids on the basis of order, it is of crystalline type and it is of amorphous type. In crystalline and amorphous, we'll see what is crystalline structure, what is amorphous structure. Here you will find ordered arrangement. Arrangement is ordered. Then if you cut, smooth surfaces you will get. Smooth surfaces on cutting. So ordered arrangement, smooth surfaces on cutting, then long range adder. Then anisotropic, do you know what this factor anisotropic means? Suppose when you cut the structure like this, do you get the same thing? Here is A, but here you find B. Here is B, here you find A. Here is A, here you find B. The opposites you find, right? When you cut from here, just wait a second. When you cut from here, what do you get? Here A, B, A, but here only B. Here B, only here A, B, A. Here you find A, here B, A, B. So do you get the same things on reflection? It says anisotropic means from anywhere you will cut the structure. Any part of the structure you will cut and you will get the same thing on both the sides. But here you get different things. Isn't it? So arrangement, in any direction you cut, the arrangement should be same. But here arrangement is different from every direction. The arrangement here is different from every direction. But if you will get like this A, B, A, B, suppose when you cut here also you will get A, B, A, B. When you will cut here you will get A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. This type of structure is amorphous structure, which is isotropic. Anyway you will get cut, you will get the same structure. Suppose you cut like this, then you can cut, see like this you can cut. Here you find A, B and A, B. Let it be till this much. It is seen that from every direction you get and you will get the same structure. And anisotropic means the arrangement changes when you cut from different directions. Arrangement is different from every direction. The arrangement, here A, B, here you will get something else. Here A, B, then here you will get something else. It's like that. So anisotropic is that one. In crystalline, it's anisotropic, long range order, smooth surfaces on cutting, then regular or ordered arrangement. Isn't it weird? Here you see ordered arrangement and here it is irregularly arranged, but still then here it is anisotropic and here it is isotropic. Then in crystalline it shows cleavage property. Cleavage property in, so breaking in particular direction. It's like when you break something, suppose you break something in crystalline, it in a single direction it all will split up. Not like glass. Glass, when you break the glass, smittens, like here you will get some falling up, then spreading like structure. It won't be cut in a particular direction, unidirectional. Cleavage property means breaking in any particular direction is of crystalline structure. When you will cut it, same structures will fall down. If here also this one, here also this one, here also this one, in same direction, this means after cutting you will get like this. But here when you will cut in amorphous, when you will cut this, you will get like this on both the sides. Here you will get something, here you will some part of it scattered somewhere, but here same way you will cut. I'm explaining again if it become a bit confused. cleavage property on crystalline, cleavage property on amorphous. Let me explain you the first cleavage property of crystalline structure. When you will break this structure, you will get, if you get like this, the same structure divided into two parts in a same line, smooth way. This is crystalline cleavage. Amorphous cleavage is like breaking a glass. You will find in big glass industry how they break. It will come like small pieces scattered everywhere. Small pieces scattered everywhere, some here, some here, some here, some here, not in a smooth way. So like this, the structures will be scattered. So this is the cleavage of amorphous, but in crystalline smooth way you will cut it. Then in crystalline you will found these are known as true solids and do not show fluidity. They do not show fluidity. They are true solids. Then shows on symmetric elements. Crystalline normally usually it shows on symmetric elements, and examples are metals, ionic solids, diamond, graphite, ice. See, diamond and graphite being the derived from carbon, these are crystalline, but fullerenes is an amorphous. In the same way, now of amorphous solid. Irregular arrangement, as you know. Then rough surfaces, short range order, isotropic, melts over wide range of temperature, not at a time, wide range of temperature. It never melts directly at a time. No cleavage property. No cleavage property. Fluidity is there, shows fluidity, but non-symmetric. Non-symmetric, sorry, I mean it should be crossed. Non-symmetric. Example is PVC, plastic, polythene, polymer, and all those. Exceptional is high density polythene is the exception. Then we read till here solids, its structure, crystalline, amorphous, its difference. Now we'll see about supercooled liquid. Supercooled liquid, amorphous solids have tendency to flow, so known as supercooled liquids or pseudo liquids. Now let's see what it is. Suppose a glass building, okay, it is always so it is slightly thicker at the bottom. Why do you know? Because the small in the glass, within the glassy structure, it has the tendency to flow. The small tiny particles gets flowed from every direction, and at last what they do is they deposit all over at the bottom part. So because of its tendency to flow, because it has its fluidity property, so it at last becomes slightly thicker at the bottom part, because it gets all accommodated at the bottom part. So this is fluidity property, super cooled. So glass is a super cooled liquid. Now the next property we'll see, amorphous solids have tendency to flow, so they are known as pseudo or supercooled liquids. Glass window pane of old buildings are slightly thicker at the bottom than top. So glass is a supercooled liquid, and this guys, this I am not copying from any book or copy. This is my note itself that I have made in the Evernote app. So it becomes easy on my part to express it to you, because on the Evernote, even you can download the Evernote app because it's a very useful app. So you can store there, you can write things there, you can attach images there by writing yourself, you can do everything. So amorphous solids have tendency to flow, so this is known as pseudo or supercooled liquids. The glass window pane of old buildings, as I expressed it to you, this was its diagram. Glass window pane of old buildings are slightly thicker at bottom than at top. So glass is a supercooled liquid, as these liquids can flow under their own weight, because they have the small tiny particles. They can flow under their own weight and lose shape and can easily be distorted. Do you know an important fact? When you heat a glass like structure, you can mold it the way you want into any shape, any irregular or any regular type shape. You can mold it to any shape you want to. You can try it over in your home. Take your mom's bangles, only glass bangles, purely glass bangles, and heat it, and after you heat it, you will find you can mold it to, it becomes completely heated. You can mold it to any shape you want, like clay, so it can easily be distorted. Then what is, now we'll see ionic solids. What is ionic solids? Before go to the ionic solid part, let's see what is here written. Regular arrangement of cations and anions through the solid, where ions held together by strong Coulombing or electrostatic forces. In the ionic solids, you will find the cations and anions are regularly arranged in an order way throughout the solid only, and those ions are held together by strong Coulombic or, remember the solid diagram as I explained you. Wait, here it is. The way I explained you, there are very little spaces. It becomes a bit difficult to draw on the iPad, on the Evernote app. So in the structure which I showed you on the board, you can pause the video and go to the preview it around 5 to 10 minutes back, and see that I have drawn a solid structure like this, and I showed you at the beginning of the video, I showed you there is very little space. There is hardly any space between the molecules or atoms. So this is it in the diagram. See here, there is hardly any space. Here it is a bit more space, but the structure is very tightly packed. Okay, so here it is hardly any space left. Here it is hardly any space left for them. So that space they are attracted by themselves, one molecule to another, but they are tightly held together by the Coulombic or electrostatic forces. So they are hard, brittle. They are having high melting and boiling points. Then in solid state, ions are not free to move. In the solid state, the ions are not free to move. As we read here, the regular arrangement of cations and anions throughout the solid are held together by strong electrostatic forces or Coulombic forces. So because of its strong electrostatic forces, so here you see, because of its strong electrostatic forces, so this is the line. Here the strong electrostatic forces are held together by Coulombic or electrostatic. These are the ions are held together strongly by the electrostatic forces. So they are hard, brittle. They are having high melting and boiling. So they are having hard, brittle, high melting and boiling points. In solid state, ions are not free to move, so they are insulator. If they ask you the question why ions are not free to move, you can write why they are insulators and what is the fact that makes them conductor. These are the 2 points, important points. Here one, here one. In solid state, ions are not free to move, so they are insulator. But in molten state or aqueous state, ions are free to move. That is why they become a conductor. And because of this conductor part, these two are also the factors. High enthalpy of vaporization, soluble in polar solvent like water, insoluble in nonpolar solvents like C6H6, CS2, CCl4. These all are nonpolar. And polar solvents like water, LiF, NaCl, KNO3, Na2. Remember one thing, guys, I will say you later in the video. Metallic solids, malleable, ductile. As you know, all the properties of metal, these are malleable, ductile, lustrous, thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity, moderate enthalpy of fusion. All the metallic solids, metals, alloys, iron, nickel, copper. Then covalent solid comes. In the covalent solid, then see here, in the covalent solid forms G and 3D structure or molecule. G and 3D structure and molecule. So this point, G and 3D structure or molecule, this point includes, see, underline this point I have highlighted here. Please see. I'm sorry. See, I have given a tick mark here. Forms G and 3D structure or molecule. Strong. So if it asks you about G and solids, you will know covalent solids are also known as the G and solids. G and 3D structure or molecule I have ticked here. Very hard, brittle and very high melting point. Here also you read high melting and boiling point. This point. Here also hard melting and boiling point, but here ionic solids have high, but covalent solids have more high than ionic solids. They have very high. So the line is mentioned as very high. Very high melting point. Due to absence of free ions, they are insulators. Due to the absence of free ions, they are insulator. Remember this point. Wherever there are free ions or ions are not free to move, they are insulators. Remember, so this is a contrasting point here. Ions are not free to move. Ions are not free to move. That is why they are insulators. Here, due to the absence of free ions, they are insulators. Ions are not free to move. Means free ions is absent. So insulators. Here also, absence of free ions, they are insulators. So if it asks you in the covalent solid why it is insulator, and in the solid state of ionic solid why it is insulator, but in molten state it is a conductor, you can write. Only reason is because of the absence of free ions. Enthalpy of fusion is high. Diamond, graphite, boron nitride, SiC, SiO2. As I said you, diamond and graphite, they being, this is sp2 sp3 hybridized and graphite is sp2. It is a covalent. It includes in the covalent, but fullerenes will not get included in the covalent solid. Then forces are quite weak. Layers can slide over each other and make graphite soft and lubricating solid. You can write this point. It's an important point. Forces are quite weak in the graphite, so layer can slide over each other and make graphite lustrous and solid. Another point. Remember, whose dipole moment is 0. Whose dipole moment it is a nonpolar. It is nonpolar. And this nonpolar, polar and hydrogen bonded, these three will go under the category of molecular solid. We'll read about it. See here, molecular solids held by dispersion forces or London forces, dipole-dipole or hydrogen bond. In the nonpolar, dipole moment is 0. Either atoms helium, neon, argon, or molecules like H2, I2, Cl2 bonded by weak dispersion forces. In the same way, non-conductor soft solids having low melting and low enthalpy of vaporization, molecular solids volatile in nature at room temperature and pressure, they are available in liquid and gaseous state. I think these sentences are being very easily written by me, so I don't need to explain these lines to you. I am sharing my notes, my personal notes to you, so that it will be better on your part to understand too. If you get any doubt in any line, you may comment it. Then this is non-conductor soft solids, low melting and low enthalpy of vaporization, volatile in nature at room temperature and pressure, they are available in liquid and gaseous state. Example is iodine, solid H2, and yeah, here we get another important point. Remember that in molecular solids, in molecule, how do we, the confusing part is to distinguish between covalent and molecular solids, because the bond between metal and metal, look over here, the bond between metal and metal, it is metallic bonding. Remember that, metal and metal, metallic bonding. And here non-metal non-metal covalent bonding, metal non-metal ionic bonding, metal is metallic bonding. But the confusing part over here is the non-metal covalent bonding is also there, molecular bonding is also there. So in the molecular, as we are seeing, dipole, the last point, it was important as I was explaining it to you, volatile in nature and iodine solid, H2, carbon dioxide, dry ice. The important thing again is that the part, suppose water, you know water, it exists in the water form, liquid form, okay. Suppose better to take an example of carbon dioxide, okay, it is a gas, it exists in the gaseous state, but the solid carbon dioxide, when we convert the carbon dioxide solid state into the gaseous state, it becomes dry ice. The conversion which to solid state, gas to solid state, it goes under the category of molecular solid. But carbon dioxide gas itself, it has dipole moment 0, so it will go under non-polar, but it is a covalent one. In the same way, held by dipole forces, non-conducting solids with low melting and boiling point, polar ones, high enthalpy of evaporation, solid HCl, NH3, SO2, these are polar ones. So I hope you liked. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope this will help you out.